In Ukrainian, there is zamok and there is zamok. Notice anything? These two words have identical letters, but they are pronounced differently. So if I showed you this word without any context, it would be literally impossible to tell which one I'm talking about. But if it is given in context like this, an average Ukrainian speaker who knows that Korolivsky means royal and Dverny means door would immediately be able to tell whether it means a castle or a lock. So context helps us decode the structure of the sentence. The skill of constantly thinking about context and trying to decode the Ukrainian sentence is something that all Ukrainian learners have to keep in mind when reading, especially if the text has no stress marks or additional clues, because it can completely change the meaning. Now, if you think that this is frustrating, inconvenient, or the reason why you have not learned Ukrainian yet, think again. This unique feature of the language is actually doing something to your brain that neuroscientists didn't expect to find. They discovered that forcing your brain to constantly decode sentences like this can physically alter your anatomy by building an interconnected system in your brain so powerful that it could delay or even prevent the onset of some neurological diseases for several years. But how can learning Ukrainian, or any language for that matter, actually change your brain's hardware? Let's start with a simple comparison. Take three unrelated English words: a hand, a pen, and a sleeve. Each one of these words is different in how it looks, what it sounds like, and how it is structured. Every word is like an island. Now take a similar idea in Ukrainian. The difference here is that words are not isolated islands. They are part of a system of roots. For example, ruka, ручка, рукав. These forms are interconnected, and thinking about one automatically activates the others. And right here at this point, your brain just did something it has never done and can't do in English. It is not just recognizing a word, it is processing its form, its role, and its meaning at the same time. And going further shows you how complex this can get. A single word can change depending on its meaning. For example, the word almaz. If you say in Ukrainian "Я не маю", I don't have, almaz, you need to put the noun almaz in a specific case. In this situation, in a genitive case. But to choose its correct form, it's not enough to just memorize all case forms. Not enough to choose the correct word gender, but you also need to know the context. The form almaza refers to a gemstone, while almazu refers to a mineral. What almaz you don't have? The same word, different endings, different meanings. Thinking about one form makes you think about the system. Thinking about the system makes you think of all the other interconnected forms. And so, reading a simple English sentence like this is straightforward. It is considered to offer no challenge to your brain and will never require the same brain power as a similar Ukrainian sentence. Because, for starters, you constantly have to track endings. Secondly, you have to pay attention to grammatical roles. And thirdly, sometimes you need to distinguish stress and meaning through form. So, in short, in order to process a Ukrainian sentence, you must actually decode it in layers, contextualize the information, and find connectors, all at the same time while you are reading. You're not just reading, your brain is actively solving a puzzle. And this particular feature made neuroscientists curious enough to study how doing this on a regular basis can affect your brain. So they compared the brain activity of two groups, one using languages like English or German, and another using structurally complex languages like Ukrainian. And what they found is that while languages like English tend to rely more on the left side of the brain, the structure of Ukrainian does something entirely different. It activates both hemispheres and strengthens the connections between them. It physically thickens the white matter, the neural connections, between the left and right hemispheres, because your brain has to constantly cross-reference form, meaning, and context. It builds massive neural bridges across the center of your brain. Recent neuroscience research has even looked at Ukrainian specifically, analyzing brain activation patterns related to attention and concentration during language processing. So, your brain actually works much harder when processing Ukrainian than simpler language structures. And that is not a bad thing, it is a biological advantage. Now you might be wondering, so what? How is having extra neural connections useful in any way? Think of your brain like a city grid. A disease like Alzheimer's causes physical damage as it creates roadblocks in your neural pathways. When you learn a language like Ukrainian, you are essentially building a massive network of alternative highways and bridges. So if one pathway is blocked, your brain can take a different route. This is what neuroscientists call cognitive reserve. You can build it in many ways, but very few activities build it in the way cognitively engaging languages do. So, learning Ukrainian is not just about language, it is literally physical training for your brain. Now you know that Ukrainian is not only a complex and beautiful language, but also a powerful tool for developing your brain. Yet another reason why you should start learning Ukrainian today.